All right. Good morning. Good morning. I realized I think I forgot my water bottle upstairs. We're back. Hey, what's up, Big J's Faith? Hey, sorry, yeah, I'm a few minutes late. My bad. I'm here though. I'm here. Oh goodness, about to punch myself in the face with my headphone. Good morning. Good morning. Hold on. I gotta go get my water real quick. BRB. All right, now I'm here. Sorry about that. I got my water. Good morning, Oblivious. Good morning, Ilmanian. Good morning, Duck Boy. Troubleshooting my Docker setup, wavering between which RSS reader to use. Hold on. RSS reader, Docker? What do these two things have to do with each other? Explain yourself, Duck Boy. Explain yourself. I'm running out of space on this desk. Alrighty. Time to settle in here and do some rusting. Do some rustationing. Oh boy, that's a black hole you may not want to be into. I would love to know more about this. I don't understand why do you need to why does your choice of RS reader be related to Docker setup? Or are these two just different things? You're just doing both at the same time. All right, we're going to start with a little bit of Rustlings today like we did yesterday. And then we'll jump into working on that desktop app. Probably for the last hour or so. And then at some point I have to make a decision about when I'm going to call the Rust side quest over. Basically just a storage for articles and stuff. Oh, nice. So you're using Docker for the storage of them. So you have like your RSS reader captures them and then sticks them in like a database or something that's running in Docker. That's pretty cool. Very cool, man. Docker's such a cool piece of technology. Like, how lucky are we to be building stuff in a day and age where Docker's a thing? You know, like I can't imagine going back to a time when you couldn't containerize your applications. It's pretty wild to think about. That's why I try to have such empathy for folks that have been doing all of this so much longer than me, because I realize they've seen some shit, you know? They've seen some shit. Lurk? All right, you lurk away, Elmanian. We encourage lurking here. As a fellow lurker, now there are multiple RSS feed standards. Yeah, which there's like one called Atom, and then there's just like your standard XML feed, right? RSS feed standards. Let's see, Core RRS 2.0. So I guess RSS there is a specification for it, a W3C specification for it. But then there is an Atom. Seems like Atom is a different thing than RSS. Very interesting. All right, let's get ourselves warmed up a little bit. JSON feed is a new one. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. I'm a big fan of JSON. Good to see you, sweet car. Yeah, I think JSON is the right JSON, whatever you say it. I think that's the right serialization language. I know that's going to be very unpopular, but if I had to pick any serialization language, that would be the one. I don't want YAML. I don't want XML. I don't want, don't want any of that stuff. This is too small of a window. I wonder why it's not. Just doing a little bit of warm up, get the fingers loose. Sometimes this app doesn't work very well, does it? Alright, I think I'm good. Hey, what's up, Deekshith? Deekshith? I think that's how I say your name. Deekshith, good to see you. But it's a fairly new standard, quite rare to see any self-hosting RS readers adopt it. Interesting. Well, hey man, let's just do everything in JSON, I actually read a very, very good blog post this weekend. Yeah, I read a very, very good blog post this weekend that made the case for It really doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about. Well, I guess it kind of does. It's basically talking about like using the file system as a model for how to share social data. Not open social. It's his latest blog post. Let me see if I can find it. This one, a social file system. This blog post is so good. You guys should go read it. I'm just going to spam it into chat. Read this. It's so good. All right. Time to do Rustlings. I've said all right like 10 times this morning. What problem are we on? 09 strings. Wonderful. Learning about strings today. Strings. Fix the compiler error without changing the function signature. So this I don't think this is the is the LSP not attached? There's Rust Analyzer. There we go. Gosh, man, that took forever for the analyzer to get working. Okay, so this is the example of what we learned about the other day when we were talking about ownership of the difference in these different string types, right? So we have a string slice, and then we have a string. And in this case, we're expecting a string and not a string slice. So what we need to do is we need to say, shut up, Copilot. We need to say either, we need to either do one of two things. We can do this, I think, right? Or I think we can actually just create an own a string itself by doing something like this: string new blue. Right? Expected 0 arguments, found 1. Oh, can you not do that? I could have sworn you could do that. Create new string in Rust. There we go. So either one of those will do. But the big difference is the fact that a string literal is basically saying I have a literal version of this string built into the binary of whatever application we produce. So it has a fixed known size at compile time versus this string, or string size, so versus a string which says this is dynamic. We don't know, this can be changed, and it can grow and it can shrink, and we don't know what's actually the size of this thing. And I guess I probably should call it a string literal, not a string slice. A string literal. We did it. On to the next one. Fix the compiler error in the main function without changing this function. Okay. It says don't change this line. If is a color word, Print line, that is a color word I know, else that is not a color word I know. So this function is a color word, is expecting, I think we call this a string literal, right? String literal versus string slice in Rust. Is this the words for the same thing? Okay, string literal has a static lifetime. A string slice is a reference to a sequence of UTF-8 encoded bytes stored somewhere in memory. The lifetime is not necessarily static. It borrows data owned by something else. Okay, so we're looking for a string slice at this point. So this wants a string slice, which means here we need to, I think, reference it. Yeah. I started working on a blog post yesterday while I was watching the football games about Rust, ownership in Rust. And I think I have a better understanding of it than I thought. Which is good. It means some of this stuff is slowly seeping into my brain. Oh, this is a big exercise. What are you working on? Deekshith, we're doing every time I say your name, I'm afraid I'm saying a bad word. Deekshith. I don't know if there's a better way to say your name. I'm working on learning Rust, and I'm doing it in two different ways. I'm going through the Rust programming language book and this group of exercises called Rustlings, all of which are linked in the description of my stream. And then I'm also trying to build a desktop application that's basically like a Notepad alternative. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what we've been doing for the last, 10 days, last 10 days of stream. We've been doing this. It's been fun, but at some point I need to decide when this is coming to an end. Let's see, remove white space from both ends of a string. Okay, so I'm guessing there's probably some built-in method to do this.
Did we just become best friends?
Hey, Carlos, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate that. So he removes a string slice with leading and trailing white space, or returns a string slice with leading and trailing white space removed. I think that, yeah, so now we just have two failing tests. Compose me, add world to the string. There are multiple ways to do this. So can we just do good old concatenation, like input plus world? No? Cannot add ampersand string to ampersand string. String concatenation requires an own string on the left. Okay, that's good to know. So I'm guessing there's probably some method that hangs off this called join, maybe? Or I hate this because I can't see the freaking I can't see the documentation. Replace, length, parse. Trim left, trim right. I mean, I guess what we could do is we could turn it into an own string, right? So we could say, we could do input dot to string, and then we could add hello, or what were we supposed to add? World. Do that. Don't know if that's the right thing to do, but replace me. Okay, so now we're going to say replace cars in the string with balloons. I think we can do this with input.replace. And what does this take? This takes a, see, from to. So we would like to replace car, right? Car with balloon. What a random replacement. See, panicked at exercise assertion, left equals right, failed. Left is hello world, right is hello space world. Oh, exclamation point. Hey, looky there. We did it. Print line. We be rustin' today. Ooh, some of these are getting kind of nasty. Wow, look how many. Oh my goodness. There must be 10 things we have to do in this exercise. All right, calls of this function should be replaced with calls of string, slice, or string. Okay, don't know what that means, but. Hey, what's up, Cyberlanka? How are you? Yeah, sup, crabs. I don't know if I've earned the term yet, Rustacean. I'm not sure at what point you get to claim that title. It's like kind of like, when do you get to call yourself a YouTuber, you know? I don't know. Actually, I do know. Life's too short to wait for other people to tell you you can claim a title. You should just claim it. You want to call yourself a YouTuber? Just call yourself a YouTuber. All right, here are a bunch of values. Some are strings, some are string literal. Some are own-string, some are string literal. Your task is to replace placeholder with either string slice or string, depending on what you think each value is. Okay. Warning, this is byte indexing, not character indexing. Character indexing can be done using s character place index. Okay. So yeah, so I basically just have to say if I think it's a string slice or an own string. Okay, so this one's pretty easy. This is a string literal, which is a string slice, but with a static lifetime. So this is a string slice. We already know this one's an own string because we were doing stuff with the toString method earlier. This is also an own string. This is, I'm guessing this is also an own string because it says to owned. I wonder what the difference is between these. Converts the given value to a string. Creates own data from borrowed data, usually by cloning. I wonder if this has to do with how... Yeah, I would like to test this really quick. If I do this, let's see, let red equals red, right? And then I do let owned red equals red to string, like this. And then I try to access owned, or if I try to do like red to lower. Is that valid? Okay, that's valid. So what if I do toOwned? It doesn't seem to make a difference. So then why we need to look this up? Let's see. What is difference between toString and toOwned in Rust? Good morning, Precision Pilots. I'm doing well. Steven, the Rustacean Crab King. I don't think that's me. There's no way they'd make me king of the Rustaceans. The primary difference is semantics. ToOwned is for converting any borrowed type to its own counterpart, while toString is specifically for generating a string from a type that implements the display trait. Ah, okay. Direct performance, direct efficient copy optimized to a direct copy via specialization. Huh. Okay. So toOwned is more of a thing you would do for, like, if you really want to translate a string slice to an owned string, you probably should call toOwned. And then if you're doing something that's for display purposes, then you probably use toString, I guess, is probably more of the idea here. But effectively, they have the same outcome in this case. Let's see, nice weather dot into. So I think what this does, I think what into does, I think into will try to convert this string literal into whatever type the function it's being passed to declares, is I think what it does. So I think we'll probably want to do, I think either of these would work, right? Let's see, string slice. And I think we could also do string. Yeah, I don't think it matters because I think what this does is this conversion is whatever the implementation of from is. Ah, so you, right? So in this case, T is the thing we're passing, right? So T is the thing we're passing, which happens to be a static string or string literal. And because the string method accepts an own string, when we call into, it basically does this. It says string from is what it calls with nice weather in here. And then it passes this in. And then this string slice does kind of a similar thing here. Is there a from method? Yeah, there's a from on here. So I wonder if that's like a trait that you have to implement. Oh, yeah, it is. Look. This is a trait. So I wonder if you pass in a struct that doesn't have the, if you have a struct or something or data type that doesn't have the from trait, then I'm guessing you can't call into on it. Interesting. We're learning all about things in Rust today. Very, very interesting. Okay, format, interpolation, station. What does format return? Creates an own, it's an own string, so we'll do string. That's interesting. I haven't seen this. So this is actually a reference to a string. So we are creating an own string, and then we're getting a slice of that string. and then we're capturing a reference to it. So I think we need string slice. And this is going to be, I actually don't know here, string maybe? Nope, string slice. That returns an own string. What would I do without my LSP, right? Cool. And then I think we can get rid of the placeholder function because we're not using it anymore. And I think, yeah, that's a leftover error. All right, we did it. That was a long exercise. Let's see, function make sausage is private. Private function. The function make sausage is defined here, modules. So, okay, now we're getting into a different topic. So we were talking about strings, now we're talking about modules. So modules are basically how we organize our code. So we have a module declared here called sausage factory. Don't let anybody outside this module see this, okay? Fix the compiler error about calling a private function. So the secret recipe should stay private, but the make sausage should be public. Yep. And the way you do that is you use the pub keyword. Make an item visible to others. Cannot find value fruit in module delicious snacks. Not found in delicious snacks. Cannot find value veggie in module. Okay. You could bring module paths into scope and provide new names for them with the use and as keywords. Okay, we've been using the use keywords a lot with the ICE packages that we've been using. Add the following to use statements after fixing them. So use self fruits. I don't understand this syntax. Use self fruits pair as something something. Use self veggies cucumber as fruit and veggie. The constant import, huh? All right, we're gonna have to go do some reading because I don't know. I don't know about this one. The module system. Sounds like exhilarating reading for this morning. Hope you all are having a good morning. You guys are quiet this morning, which is totally fine. Just glad you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing well. A noob, why don't you learn Java Spring Boot? It has high demand in India. A noob, sorry, I missed that question earlier. Well, I don't live in India. I think you know that, but I don't live in India. So the fact that it has high demand in India, it really doesn't mean anything to me. And why don't I learn Java Spring Boot? I just haven't done it yet. You know? Why don't you learn C#, Anoop? Why don't you learn ASP.NET yet, a noob? Ilmonium I'm eating right now. Nice. Good for you, dude. Some food sounds good. All right. Let's see if we can't find. Cargo provides workspaces, which we'll cover in Cargo Workspaces. See, the first parts of the module system we'll cover are packages and crates. Crate is the smallest amount of code that Rust compiler considers at a time. Even if you run Rust C rather than Cargo and pass a single source code file, the compiler considers that file to be a crate. Crates can contain modules, and the modules may be defined in other files that get compiled with the crate, as we'll see in the coming sections. A crate can come in one of two forms, a binary crate or a library crate. Binary crates are programs you can compile to an executable that you can run, such as a command line program or a server. Each must have a function called main that defines what happens when the executable runs. All the crates we've created so far have been binary crates. So this is very similar to like Go, right? You can have a library package or you can have a binary package. And they don't compile to an executable. Instead, they define functionality intended to be shared with multiple projects. For example, the RAND crate we used in Chapter 2 provides functionality that generates random numbers. Most of the time, when Rustaceans say crate, they mean library crate, and they use crate interchangeably with the general programming concept of a library. Morning, Danny. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by the stream. Appreciate you being here. A package is a bundle of one or more crates that provides a set of functionality. A package contains a cargo.toml file that describes how to build those crates. Cargo is actually a package that contains the binary crate for the command line tool you've been using to build your code. Good morning, Rampla. Good to see you again. The cargo package also contains a library crate that the binary crate depends on. Other projects can depend on the cargo library crate to use the same logic the cargo command tool uses. That's cool. I'm not going to go through the steps here. Here we have a package. That's fine. Control, okay, here's where we're at. Control scope and privacy with modules. Start from the crate root. When compiling a crate, the compiler first looks in the crate root file for code to compile. Declaring modules. In the crate root file, you can declare new modules. Say you declare a garden module with mod garden. The compiler will look for that module's code in these places. In line within curly brackets that replace the semicolon following mod garden. So that's kind of what we're doing in this file over here. So we're using curly brackets to denote the module. In the file garden.rs, in the file source garden mod.rs. Declaring submodules. In any file other than the crate root, you can declare submodules. For example, you might declare mod vegetables in source garden. The compiler will look for the submodule's code within the directory named for the parent module in these places: inline, directly following mod vegetables, within curly brackets instead of the semicolon, in the file source garden vegetables.rs, in the file source garden vegetables. Okay, so basically, whenever it sees a mod vegetables, now it's going to look for code related to that module in these places, which is kind of interesting because this format right here kind of reminds me of JavaScript with the way that you can name packages using like an index file, where you can have something like, I don't know, my package index.ts, right? And then you can import from that package something like import some code from my package. And that index file is sort of like an inferred file almost in a way. And that seems to be what this mod convention is about here. Pass the code in modules. Once a module in part of your crate, you can refer to code in that module from anywhere else in the same crate, as long as the privacy rules allow, using the path to the code. For example, an asparagus type in the garden vegetables module would be found at crate garden vegetables asparagus. Private versus public. To make a module public, declare it with pub mod instead of mod. To make items within a public module public as well, use pub before their declarations. The use keyword. Within a scope, the use keyword creates shortcuts to items to reduce repetition of long paths. In any scope that can refer to create garden vegetables asparagus, you can create a shortcut with use create garden vegetable asparagus, and then from then on you only need to write asparagus to make use of that type. That all makes sense. So where does the as keyword come into place? Right? Where does that come into place? So we have public pair, public cannot find the value fruit in module delicious snacks. Okay. Well, so what if I do public cannot find value fruit in module delicious snacks, not found in delicious snacks. Oh, okay. So what you're saying that this needs to become I don't understand. This seems like I don't understand what this is asking me to do. So let's go see if we can't read up more. Maybe there's a section here we talk about as somewhere. Oh, but the contents of hosting are still private. Making the module public doesn't make its contents public. All right. See, this is the one problem with Rustlings is there's no real clear connection between like what does this module exercise, what is this testing your knowledge of, and how does that correspond to the reading that you have in here? That's the one. That's the one thing that's kind of disconnected. They almost need like a place. They almost need like a link between the exercise and the place in the book where they're gonna talk about the thing you're being tested on. Okay, providing new names with the as keyword. There's another solution to the problem of bringing two types of the same name into the same scope with use. After the path, we can specify as and a new local name or alias for the type. Shows another way to write the code in listing 7.5 by renaming one of the two result types as. Okay. So are you saying I can turn? I think what they're trying to drive at here is they're trying to drive at turn this into as fruit, and then this goes to as veggie. I honestly don't know. The constant import veggie is defined here. Constant import fruit is private constant import. Import fruit, then through the re-export, fruit's fruit. All right, I have no idea what the hell they're asking me to do. So I'm gonna go and look at the solution. Module 2. Don't edit the solution file. It will automatically be filled after you finish the okay, well, I'm gonna have to do some Googling because I don't know I'm not sure what they're driving at here. Maybe AI knows. Pub in front of the use. Yeah, but why? Like, what? It says add the following two use statements after fixing them. I don't understand. I don't understand how I'm supposed to jump from there to what the right thing to do is. That's the part that seems very confusing to me. So you're saying make this fruit and make this veggie and make this public. Oh, excuse me. Make this public. Yay! Thank you very much, chat. Let's see. What? Explain to me what this exercise is trying to get me to do and understand about the use and the as keywords in Rust. Oh no. Put this back. Let's see, this exercise is teaching you how to re-export items from a module with a new name. to make them accessible from outside that module. If you look at main, it's trying to print 2 items, delicious snacks and fruit. However, inside delicious snacks, those names don't exist yet. You have pear and cucumber inside veggies, but nothing named fruit or veggie directly in delicious snacks. You need to bring the nested constants, pear and cucumber, into the scope of delicious snacks and rename them so that main can find them. Okay. The use statement itself must be public if you want code outside the module like main to see it. Well, there you go. Copilot and chat knew exactly what to do. But Steven was lost. Steven was utterly and hopelessly lost. Okay, so why do that? I guess. Why not do... I guess the only reason you're doing that is because you specifically want to only expose pear and cucumber as fruit and veggies, and you don't want to expose any of this. But I guess I can get to cucumber the same way, can't I? I can go fruits. No, because fruits isn't public, right? Ah, okay. So then... And cucumber is only accessible up there because this is public. So if I make this not public, does that break that statement up above? Yes. Okay, I see. I'm learning. Slowly but surely. Oh, now we're dealing with date time information. I hate date time information. Amen. Hey, what's up, Voltaire? If your main function was inside the module, you'd be fine. Yeah. Woohoo! In layman's terms, you're just creating a name shortcut. Thank you, Oblivious. Thank you. Somebody can simplify what's going on here. You had it right, but you left it as private. Oh, okay, cool. Sarah Jamondal, are you using Rustling? I am. Yes, I am. You were spot on with your first change. You just need pub to make it visible. Pub use namespace as name. Appreciate you. The owner of bread. What are all those numbers? Oh yeah, this one annoyed me until I realized what it wanted. Yeah, that's the frustrating part. Is trying to figure out what you're trying to drive at. The owner of bread. Good to see you. I don't know, why are you putting all those. What are all those characters you're putting in the chat? Is this something I should be suspicious of? You can use the keyword to bring module pass from modules from anywhere, and especially from the standard library, into your scope. To do, bring system, time, and Unix epoch from the standard time module into your scope. Bonus style points if you can do it with one line. I think I know how to do it with one line. So you do use standard time, and then I think you do brackets, and you say system time and Unix epoch. Yeah, I think I did it. Nice. I only know how to do this because whenever I've done auto imports with the Rust analyzer, this is how it does it sometimes. Cool. Yeah, it is nice. It does look nice that way. It's so interesting how every single language has the need for these types of statements, whether they be called imports or usings or whatever you want to call them. And what's hilarious about it is that every language basically has decided on their own way to do it. It's like everybody's like, nah, nah, nah. We can't do it like them. We gotta do it our own way. What other characters are available? All right, now we're on to the next one. Oh, actually, hold on. We're on to a whole new topic. What are we looking at now? Hashmaps. Okay. We've been using Hashmaps in our Notepad application. Excuse me. Muaz, hello. Good to see you, man. Quick question for you. Would you prefer having ChatGPT, Gemini Premium, or Cursor AI? Well, so I have to be honest. I've never used Cursor before, so I don't know what Cursor is like. I have used ChatGPT, but not much in like the last 2 years. I used it a lot when it first came out, and it was really kind of the only thing, right? It was like the thing, the killer app. And it was fine while I used it. But I have a lot more experience between all three of those things with Gemini, and I think I would still stick with Gemini based on what I know about those other two products. And I think purely because Gemini is very multimodal, which I like. Right, you can do video, meet the product. I know there's different models that are facilitating it, but the product can do images, video, text. Um, and it seems pretty decent at writing code based on just my usage of it in the chat interface. So I think yeah, Gemini would be what I would prefer to have. I've never used Cursor, so I don't know how. I know some people swear. Everyone has their like. Everyone has like, well, I get better results from Anthropic's Cloud Code, and I get better results from ChatGPT when I tickle it just right. So there's a lot of shamanism, as the Primogen says, around this stuff. So I guess take my opinion for what it's worth, you know. Voltaire, it gets confusing when the paths don't match the namespaces, though. That's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. I just think it's funny that all the languages have their own approach to it. Also, the owner of Bread seems to be talking in hex ASCII. I'm just guessing. I wondered if that was what he was trying to do. Was he was trying to use hex to communicate? But I'm not going to decode that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I've never. Again, it's like I don't really do much. The most I've used AI has been tab completion with Copilot in my editors. And I think tab completion for Copilot actually uses one of the GPT models, which I don't know which one exactly. I want to say it's like 4.0 mini or maybe 4.1 mini or something like that. But yeah, I'm not really a connoisseur of the LLMs. Good morning, Demoger. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Artwork Studios. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you stopping in to say hi. You're welcome to come and go as much as you want, Artwork Studios. No apologies necessary. Demoger, need to know which one is good in writing code in VS Code. GitHub Copilot, Claude Sonnet 4.5, or Claude Opus 4.5. Well, if you listen to all the tech bros, apparently Claude Opus has a lot of tech bros convinced that they're cooked. I though primarily I pay for two AI services. I pay for Gemini as part of my Google Cloud subscription, and then I pay for Copilot as a separate subscription. And Copilot, the nice thing about Copilot is you can pick which model you want to use, which is kind of nice. And I primarily have been using Claude Haiku 4.5, and that's purely because it's one of the cheapest models to use with GitHub Copilot. And for me, I don't think I use it probably enough to be able to give you good recommendations on what model's better. I don't think I'll be frank, when I hear people talk about oh, I get better results from 4.5 Sonnet versus 4.5 Opus, and I get better results from Gemini Pro, and the scientist in me calls bullshit, because the only way you'd actually be able to make that statement is to actually do a controlled experiment where you build the same thing with each model and you have arbitrary measures of performance, right? Like, does it do it in fewer tokens? Does it do it faster? Like, you'd have to measure all that. You'd have to build the exact same thing with the exact same prompts, measure all those things, right? And then do an analysis, a statistical analysis, to measure if the differences between those things is significant. So a lot of this model stuff that people are talking about, like, oh, this one's better than that one, it's all vibes. Like, it's just vibes. Nobody is doing the work to actually evaluate their use of these models. It's all just based on, like, yeah, that one time I used it, it seemed like it was better than that other time I used that other one. so, so I think you have to take everybody's opinion on that with very little weight, in my opinion. So the thing is, I've seen people use respectable benchmarks to get believable results, but it changes every few months. I'll try to find the website. I know I have this data. Well, I know about the benchmarking websites, but what I'm talking about is the folks that are talking on Twitter. It's one thing to like run benchmarks against the model. That's fine, right? But no, what I'm saying is people who are out on Twitter and who are making YouTube videos or TikTok videos and making these claims, none of them are doing rigorous evaluations. They're just going off of vibes. Like, there's no evidence to support your claims. Like, there's no, like, you could not publish in a scientific journal that one model is better than another. your evidence would not be up to snuff to back up your claims. Is what I'm trying to get. Yeah, vibers will vibe, exactly. And so the scientist in me is kind of like, yeah, I don't really give a shit what your opinion is, because it's all just you're just going off of gut. Thank you for the information. Of course, man. Yeah, which is probably more information than you wanted to know. But I'm just sharing with you that I use Haiku the most in Copilot, and I think the tab completion with Copilot is facilitated through one of the ChatGPT models. I'm not really sure which one. Wilo Gamer Pro, good advice. Yeah, I don't know if it's good advice. I just know, like, I tend to be a big believer that if you go around making claims, the onus is on you to supply evidence to support the claims. I know that's not how the internet works, but that is how it should work. That's how life should work. The onus is not on other people to disprove your claims. Like, if you go around making statements, you should be the one that has to back them up. Actually, the internet works in kind of the exact opposite way. Which is kind of shitty. What are you gonna do? Let's see. We need to declare a hash map. So we declare a hash map by doing this. And I think we have to do something like that. Yep. Put more fruits in your basket. Okay. Well, how many fruits does it want? It wants 5 fruits. What are your guys' favorite fruits? I'm gonna do strawberry. Let's see, banana's pretty good. Bananas kind of make my throat itchy, though. Is that weird? I've always thought that's weird. Let's see, watermelon, because who doesn't like some good watermelon after a really, really hard workout? There's nothing better than some watermelon on a hot summer day after a solid workout. Let's do strawberry, orange, mango. Mango. Pear. Pear's not a bad one. I like it. Pear. Yeah. Pear, I think, is one of the more sophisticated fruits, you know? Yes, I label fruits as sophisticated. We be hashing. How confident are you feeling in Rust lately? I'm feeling more confident now that we've kind of grokked the ownership piece. I feel much more confident in it. I think to really feel confident with Rust, I would need to spend some time building quite a few projects, because I think with Rust, the rubber meets the road is going to come down to when you want to build larger, more complicated things. At least that's my thought right now, right? So I would say I'm as confident in my Rust abilities as maybe like 2 or 3 months into my JavaScript learning. Like I wouldn't want to build a Rust application and be responsible for maintaining it for somebody else, but I feel pretty confident that I could build a Rust application and support it for me, if that makes sense. Because the litmus test I always use with programming languages is like, would I do client work with this language? That's usually a good barometer for me how confident I am in it. And I'm not to a point where I would want to actually do client work in Rust. But maybe, I don't know, maybe in the future. Kajani, low key, I don't know if I want to make a fully offline Raspberry. Oh, good morning, Kajani. Long time no see, man. That's why I asked about the pirating. I mean, getting shows legally off of legal websites and legal sources. Any ideas what to do with it? I don't have any ideas. I just don't know how to get any of that stuff legally. You know, I don't know how you would obtain it in such a way that you could put it on your own thing. I've never gone down that rabbit hole very far. I don't know if this helps, but only by chapter 16 did I really start feeling Rust. Oh, well, we've got a ways to go then. Lilo Gamer Pro, why Rust? Honestly, it's difficult for me to explain. I don't know. We were finishing up another thing, and somebody in chat one day said, like, let's do Rust. And so then I was kind of peer pressured into doing Rust. So here we are. But at some point, I'm going to call it quits on Rust, because I've got 11 months in the year about left. The first month of the year is almost gone. And I do have some significant projects I want to build that I know are going to be probably multi-month projects. And so I need to get cracking on them. Especially if I'm going to do them only on stream, because that means that I'm kind of limited to only working on them for like 2 hours roughly a day. So at some point I have to put Rust down. Learning never finishes with Rust. That sounds accurate. This sounds very accurate. No, I don't know if I want the TV box. So, like, do we want a RetroPie or something else? I'm not familiar with coding, so maybe a learning tool for that? I have no idea. I haven't dealt with Raspberry Pis before myself, and I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole of, like, creating my own media server or TV server thing. I haven't done it. So I can't provide much good advice. Maybe someone in chat has more background in it, but I just haven't done much with those things. Diabawi, where to try these exercises? Oh, we are using something called Rustlings. The link is in the description of the chat, but I'll put it in, or description of the stream, but I'll put it in the chat for you too. Let's see, at Dio. There you go. There you go, man. That should get you there. Tensor Valai. Hey, mate, long time no see. Building neural networks with you today, mate. Nice. That sounds fun. Sounds way more complicated than what I'm doing. Do you buy? Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, anytime. Happy to hook you up. Yeah, neural net sounds fun. I found a library in C# that's supposed to allow you to do machine learning stuff called ml.net, and I'd like to give this a go at some point too. I know I'm trying to avoid writing Python, but I'd like to see what it's like. We just love your vibe. UK feels like a friend. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys like the vibe. I mean, I think that's really what I have to offer, because I'm not doing anything particularly earth-shattering with the stuff I'm coding or the stuff I'm learning. But I'm glad you guys are enjoying the vibes. That's what I said when I first dropped here. Nice. I like it. I'm glad it comes through. That's what I'm trying to create just a kind of a nice shared space where we can hang out and talk about nerdy shit and drink coffee or tea or whatever your caffeinated beverage of choice is, and at the same time maybe learn some stuff and build some stuff. So I'm glad that's coming through somewhat. What's up, Mark? Good morning, man. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate you being here. Good, Johnny. I mean, raspberries use Python, so I could code my own games possibly. Oh, for sure. I think you can run just about anything on, like, I think you could run .NET on a Raspberry Pi. You could probably run Rust binaries on, you know what I mean? Like, you could pretty much do. You may not know those languages, but yeah, if you know Python, you could for sure do stuff with Python on a Raspberry Pi. All right, insert new fruits if they are not already present in the basket. Note that you are not allowed to put any type of fruit that's already present. Well, that's silly though, but it's a hash map, right? So it doesn't. Can't I just do basket dot insert fruit? What's it testing? So 2 passed and 2 failed. All fruit types in basket, at least 5 types of fruits. Test given fruits are not modified, greater than 11 fruits. I guess I probably should have read this. We're collecting different fruits to bake a delicious fruit cake for this. We have a basket which will represent in the form of a hash map. The key represents the name of each fruit we collect, and the value represents how many of that particular fruit we have collected. There are 3 types of fruits. Apple, mango, and laki are already in the basket hash map. You must add fruit to the basket so there is at least 1 of each kind and more than 11 in total. We have a lot of mouse feed. You are not allowed to insert any more of the fruits that are already present in the basket. Okay. So I guess we need to say if fruit or sorry, if basket dot has or basket dot what is empty. Come on, there has to be like a has method on this, right? Of course, I can't see what methods are available because that dang thing is covering up the... Rust, check if something is in a hash map. Contains key. Okay, easy enough. Contains key. Okay. So only if that's true. Basket dot insert fruit. I guess I'm not sure how much should I be inserting. Usage of contains key followed by insert on Hashmap. Try basket.entry.or insert. Oh, that's nice. That's a little nice syntax. Basket.entry fruit or insert. Usage of contains key. No, that's not wrong. All right. Oh, so we could put an arbitrary number of the new ones in there. As long as it was greater than 11 at the end of the day, it was fine. That's actually super nice syntax. I really, really like that. Everyone gets to eat today. Wonderful. Hey, what's up, Crow Demise? Mark, what will the .entry and .or insert do? So basically, instead of doing what I was doing where I was checking to see if there was a key already present, yeah, so basically what I was doing before was I was saying, like, my code looked something like this, where it was like, if key present, then, or actually, I think it was actually the inverse. If key not present, then insert a key with value of 10 into map. This is what I had written basically in Rust. And then Clippy said, no, hey, while that will work, try this. And so I think what entry does, if I understand it, is it basically gets the keys corresponding entry in the map, right? And then if that entry is not present, it's basically going to insert it. And then we can say, okay, great, if the entry is not there, go ahead and put one there with this value. So it's basically doing the same thing this code's doing, but we're getting kind of like more of a fluent syntax, which is nice, right? This reads more like a sentence, which I always prefer. That's why I like in C#, I always like the fluid interfaces, right? Where you got like host.create builder, .configure, add, blah, blah, blah. And then finally you do something like .build. I think that reads more like how you would want to declare it with just natural language, which I always feel like is nice. So this code here is pretty much equivalent to what we were doing before. Crow demise. Don't forget, you can always write helper tools for yourself. Yeah, for sure. You can definitely do that. Or helper function, sorry. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah, for sure. I just am following Clippy's recommendation in this case. Sorry, been sleeping at shitty time, but I think I saw you live during the afternoon yesterday or something. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I was live in the afternoon. I was waiting for the next football game to start, and I had a inspiration to work on a project, and I thought, you know what? Let me see if this works, because I had never actually tried streaming from my computer before, and so I was like, I wonder, or not my computer, my laptop, sorry. And I was like, I wonder if it'll actually support streaming. And it seemed to do okay. I mean, it wasn't the best quality, but it worked. Sean Dev Steven yesterday asked a question in chat about you already building things in Rust, and I'm still struggling. I had to do something, so I left the stream. No worries at all, man. No worries at all. I mean, I would say I'm still struggling with Rust too. I mean, I don't know Rust for sure. I'm learning something new every day. So I think we're probably in the same place. It may just look I may give the appearance that I'm catching on quicker than you, but I'm probably not. Steven, gaming stream when? I don't know. At some point we could do a gaming stream. Still waiting for the answer. Oh, I don't really have a good answer, man. I'm not doing anything particularly interesting. I mean, I did jump into both feet by just trying to build a desktop app, just because I think sometimes that's nice to learn that way. Sometimes I think it's fun to learn through building, because it forces you to figure out what you know versus don't know, right? But I don't think I have any like secret. The previous dev. I think if you have a background in a programming language, learning another programming language is definitely easier. But I don't think there's anything special about what I'm doing. I think there are some pretty cool Rust libraries. Have you found any that pique your interest? No, I really haven't. I've only used Iced for the GUI library and UUID for generating a random ID, but those are the only two external crates I really interacted with much. I realized I also missed some other chat here. Mark, I tried the Zen browser. Man, it was clean. Yeah, it is clean. It has a really nice aesthetic. The Zen browser has a very good aesthetic. A NAS could be fun too. A NAS was a lot of fun. I built a NAS late last year, and I had a good time doing that. Voltaire, it'd be nice if you could do use in the array so you don't have to repeat yourself with each fruit. Yeah, that would be nice. Yo, what's up, 199? Good to see you. Zen browser mentioned. Yes, Zen browser was mentioned. It was chat that pushed me to Zen browser, or at least it was chat that made me aware of Zen browser was a thing. I still use Edge like normally. I use Zen browser when I stream just because I like the aesthetic of it. It's much more minimal, and it kind of keeps things a little bit more separate for me. Like stream versus normal work, which is I think it's nice to have two different browsers for each activity. Wilo Gamer Pro. It's just learning new syntax to do the same stuff. If you just want to do basic programs, yeah, I will say that's a very helpful thing when you're learning a new language, right? If you already know other languages, because oftentimes when I'm building something in a new language like Go, or in this case Rust, I can express with words what it is I want to do, but not know how to express that with the new language, right? So like I conceptually know like, oh, I have the state and I want to hold on to a reference to some field on that state so that I can mutate that field in other places in my code. And I know how I would do that in C#, or I know how I would do that in Go, right? But how I do that in Rust, right? It's like I'm not sure. But I can definitely communicate it. which in the world of AI is kind of a superpower, because then if you have the right words to describe the thing you want to do, 9 times out of 10 AI can probably translate that into something that's close to what's working code. Crow of Demise. I've heard Rust is pretty hard, but I remember there being some cool libraries for my own research at some point. I'm not a Rust programmer, but there's some pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, it seems like a cool language. Seems like a very niche language, though. Seems like it hasn't really caught on in popularity. I think people like to talk about it because it's kind of a way to like flex or dunk on other people. Like, yeah, bro, you should learn Rust, or yeah, I know Rust, man. You know, it's turned into that sort of a language, but I'm not sure it's being used very widely from an employability perspective. Like, I think if you want to get a job, you're probably much better off learning Java or Python at this point than learning Rust. Edge. This is the first time I've heard someone actually use it. I'm being honest. Really? Yeah, I've been using Edge for the last 3 years or so. Mainly because at work one day we decided we needed to, like, everyone needs to use a different browser so we could build some basic cross-browser testing into our manual tests. So I think my boss uses Chrome, I use Edge. We've got some other team members that use Firefox and Opera and some of the more obscure ones. And so I just kind of stuck with it. Crow of Demise. You're basically speaking a different language when programming. You're just thinking logic. So the does, if this is X, do Y. Yeah, totally agree. Good morning, Minister of Defense. Tons of snow in Boston today. I don't know why it's snowing so much this year. We got snow too, but I think it's melted. We had snow Friday night, and it was on the ground most of the day Saturday, and then yesterday it pretty much melted off, I think. I honestly, I love the day. I love snow the day it happens. I hate it afterwards. It just gets messy and yucky and nasty. Yeah, you can like barely see. There's like barely any remnants of it left on the ground. Let's see, can you guys see that? I don't know. It's kind of hard to see. But, like, you can see like a little bit of white stuff on the ground still. But I'm sure it doesn't compare to anything like what you got going on in Boston. Bob Knoll. It's never been easier to learn Rust. LLMs, Rust Analyzer, Clippy, Rustlings. I started learning before those things existed, and it was rough. I believe that, Bob. I believe this 100%. And thank you. Thank you for paving the way. I always appreciate the early adopters, because I know a lot of times the reason things are easier for people like me is because early adopters probably like through their usage and their feedback, they made things better for the ones that came after them. Voltaire, I like that it was a way to compartmentalize the unsafe code. Are you talking, Voltaire, are you talking about Rust? Rust has a way to compartmentalize the unsafe code? Is that what you're saying? If you want some snow, we can send some. No. Keep all the snow. Keep all the snow to yourself. Ain't got shit on my Finland. I bet not, Kajani. Is it cold there? What's the temperatures like where you are, man? I never felt Rust was hard. It's just tedious. Interesting. I definitely felt like, I don't know if I felt like it was hard. I feel like it's foreign. Or like that there's an additional cognitive load when I'm writing it, because I have to think about, I have to consider that whole ownership concept. Right? I have to think about, okay, am I reading, am I writing to this data? But I will say, I think that forcing me to think about those things is going to make me a better programmer when I go back to writing other languages. I think it's going to help me be more thoughtful about mutability and what is using what when, and what can access what when, right? Which is something I think I probably don't give enough attention to sometimes. So I definitely think it'll make me a better programmer. See you, Mark. Sorry about your head hurting, man. maybe some water, ibuprofen or something, and maybe you'll get to feeling better. Sorry about that, dude. Headaches are the worst. Borrow checker semantics can be a pain in the ass. I believe that. Yeah, when you get into a fight with the borrow checker, it feels like you're just always going to lose. Voltaire, yep. Unsafe keyword for the win. Oh, that's cool. So C# has an unsafe keyword too. I don't know if you knew that. So C# will let you directly manage memory and do dangerous things if you wrap your code in an unsafe block. So if you really feel like you know what you're doing, they'll let you do it. Need to figure out what projects I want to do after I'm done with the Django. Yeah, man. Maybe just pop it into Gemini. Say, Gemini, what are some good projects? That's what I do. It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good at generating ideas that you can riff on, you know? Voltaire didn't know that thing. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know how much C# you write or what, but I don't think many people know that you can do that in C#. Tired of C++ next? I don't think so, man. I think after this Rust quest, I think I'm gonna put away the learning a language. I might spend some time on stream learning new technologies or new libraries and stuff, but I think I'm gonna put away the language learning for a bit. Maybe wait until we get closer to the end of the year and we get back around to Advent of Code again. But I have some big projects I'd like to accomplish, and some of them I'd like to do on stream. And so if I'm only going to work on them for like 2 or 3 hours a day, you know, I need to get going because I only got 11 months really in the year left. So I'll probably, after this Rust thing, I'll probably return to a lot of C# and TypeScript and just hacking on projects that will take us over, several weeks likely. Which, if that's not really your thing, I get it. That's totally fine. But that's what my plan is. Record for this year was negative 42 degrees Celsius. Oh my goodness. Right now it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit, but getting warmer. Still doing fine with the weather. So I gotta ask you this, Kajani. I keep acting like I'm gonna go back to doing Rust, but I'm really just chatting now. I gotta ask you this. So do you guys have are you pretty heavily invested in like specific clothing? Because I would imagine when it's that cold outside, you don't want to do anything unless you are like well dressed for it. Like I imagine like it's kind of like going skiing here. Like people always say, if you want to have fun skiing, you need to invest in really good like winter gear. So does everybody in Finland have like really nice winter gear, I guess, that they wear during these times? Like, does that just seems wholly, utterly terrible? 199. We'll start my home lab in a few months. Nice, dude. Yeah, home lab's great. I think home lab's so much fun. I think more people need to have home labs, and more people need to host their projects in their home labs. Make the web awesome again. Everybody has a website. Everybody's website's hosted on their own shit. Let's bring the web back. That'd be awesome. Which, if you weren't here earlier, there's actually a really cool post. I think if you guys are interested in the whole idea of like a federated social media system, I linked it earlier in the chat, and I'll link it again here. But I think this could be a really cool way to try to make the web great again. What was it called? Social file system is what it's called. This is a really interesting blog post. I'm going to spam it into chat one more time. Yo, read this. It's very good. We'll start that as I learn more and more. Oh yeah, for sure. That would be a great project. Like, set up your home lab, build something with Django, and then deploy it onto your home lab and make it accessible. Yeah, I think that'd be very cool. We got that 2 foot of snow. Oof. I'm not jealous. I like cold weather, but man, I do not want to live in snow for multiple weeks on end. I really like Zig. It's like Rust, but lets you manage memory manually. It's like Zig for dumb people like me. I've heard good things about Zig. When I was trying to pick a lower level language to learn, I looked at Zig and I looked at Rust. And I picked Rust because at the time it seemed like Rust was what more people were talking about. But now it seems like Zig might have pulled ahead in terms of like the future replacement for things like C. Which I know there's a lot of strong feelings about whether or not C or C++ needs to be replaced. But I've heard good things about Zig. I've heard good things about Rust. Kajani, I mean, I wear a basic work jacket and mittens, fur hat, or whatever. It's in English, thin, thicker pants. Layers are the key. Pack in layers, and you do nicely. Yeah, I would just have to imagine you'd have to be very good at dressing warmly. I guess I just can't imagine living your life in weather that's so cold that you're just trapped inside all the time. That sounds like it wouldn't be fun. Elite's trying to go back to selling compute in a service again. This is a thing. Django, the D is silent. Oh, sorry. Django, my bad. Duck Boy, think with Docker Compose can get a little boring. Really? I like Docker Compose. Yeah, I like Docker Compose. Good morning, Ryan. Good to see you. How's everything going? Yeah, it's going good, dude. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of Rustlings this morning, and I'm about ready to get up and make another cup of coffee, and then we're gonna try to work on that little Notepad app for a bit. Big J's face. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to say something. It's important. You say away, Big J. Zig is still pre 1.0, so Rust is still mature. Well, maybe Zig will catch up eventually. C flavors will never be replaced because they do things that Rust can't do. Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought that people. Oh, whoops. I accidentally unplugged my headphones. Sorry. What happened? I don't know what happened. I killed the music somehow.
Well, how about that?
Hey.
Welcome to the party, pal.
That's too nice, man.
Welcome to the party, pal. Welcome to the party, pal.
Appreciate you. Man, you're filling up the whole
Welcome to the
screen
party,
with
pal.
gifted memes. That's too kind of you.
Welcome to the party, pal. Welcome to the party, pal.
Thank you, Big J's Faith. Again, man,
Welcome to the party, pal.
that's too kind. That's way too kind.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Told you it was important. Thank you very much,
Welcome to the
man.
party, pal.
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Zig is still very early days. The standard lib just went through a major rewrite, so almost all articles about how to do something are wrong. Oh, well, that sucks. If documentation is out of sync with the language, it'll be hard for people to adopt it, right? It'll be hard for people to learn it, too. I run everything on Docker Compose. I know, it's so nice. Docker Compose is just so nice. I completely agree, Oblivious. People like to dunk on it, but I think it's such a nice tool. It's quite long, but worth it. Did Kadar code? I don't know what you're talking about. Did Kadar code? Did Kadar code? I don't know what you're talking about. It's long.
Well, how about that?
Hey, thank you for the gifted. I really appreciate that.
Welcome to the party, pal.
That's super nice of you guys. You really don't have to do that. I hope y'all know that. I never expect that, but I very much appreciate it. Rust is definitely better in the memory safety, but drivers in Rust struggle due to unsupported hardware features. Oh. Yeah, see, I don't know about all these like nitty-gritty details. See, it seems like there's a lot of stuff here that probably it's more complicated to using a newer language to do things that older languages have been doing for a long time, which makes sense. Moist just got a notification that I was gifted a membership. Yeah, it was either Big J's Faith or it was 10 Pi. Who gave that other gifted mem? I didn't see. I forgot their name. None of the regular viewers got a membership. I know it's that I buy friends. Well, that's very nice, Big J's Faith. Sean Deb, that's actually one of the knocks on YouTube's gifted membership feature is like, I wish it would only gift to people who are actively in the stream at the time when the gifted memberships come through. I think that's how Twitch does it. But for whatever reason here on YouTube, they don't operate the same way, which I think is weird. Or maybe you could just give it to like people who have hung out in stream like for the last X number of days or something. That would be another, I think, fair way to do it. Yeah. You should try politics. Nah, he's going to be an engineer like all of us. He's becoming a dev. We don't, who needs more politicians? Nobody needs more politicians. I'm going to update the list here real quick. Okay, so now we're going to do Notepad. Members list. So that's what it is right now. And we'll do .NET YouTube.cs. And that added some names. Good deal. And while we're here, we'll also update Twitch. And then I'm going to head over. You guys are going to get banished to the void for like half a second while I restart the... you'll come right back. Just give me 1 sec. Restart that. I'm going to restart this. Restart that. Restart that. Okay. And you're back. I'm sorry that's such a painful manual process. At some point I'll get it fully automated. It just my channel has to get bigger on the YouTube side of the equation before I can fully automate it. Rocket Brain, bro, how many languages do you know? I know, so I'll say like languages that I feel comfortable doing, like being professionally employed at. I would say it's really just like your basic web techs, like JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and C#. And then probably language that I would be on the fence for employability would be like Python, probably Go now. I feel pretty confident with Go. And then Rust is like I'm just getting started, right? So that's kind of the languages. I think a lot of your ability at a language comes down to like how much and how often you work with it. So at some point, it's impossible if you know like 5 or 6 languages, it's impossible to be using them all an equal amount so that you know them all equally well. So you're always going to have like one or two languages that you are kind of like your mains, right? And then you're going to have like secondary choices that you pick up and put down occasionally. In my opinion, that's how it's been for me. Tired of I don't accept gifted memberships, strictly disabled it. Really? Huh. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody needs to send me gifted memberships or super chats or donos, but I will happily accept them. Abdul, hey bro, I just got my first client and it was from school. Hey, congratulations, man. I don't think I have my clapping sound effect pulled up. Let's see. Clap sound. There we go. Let's give you some claps, man. Let's go. Congratulations, dude. That's awesome. That's always a big deal when, I mean, regardless if it has anything to do with programming or coding, getting your first client in any business endeavor. You know, I remember when I got my first personal training client, it was such a big deal to me. It was awesome. Do you use Cloudflare on your website? I do on some of them. Basically, everything that I've deployed like in the last 6 months or so, is behind Cloudflare. There are some older projects that are not, and I eventually want to migrate everything behind Cloudflare, purely just for like the DDoS protection that Cloudflare offers. I think that's a huge added benefit. They also added a feature for blocking AI, like crawlers, which I think is pretty nice if you don't want AI crawling your stuff. Sean Dev, I shared the lesson the hard way. Quantity doesn't overtake quality in tech. Now I only focus on 3 languages max. I think that's fair. Yeah, I don't think there's definitely like a diminishing return. Like, who cares if you know 10 languages? Because there's no way you can use all 10 languages probably in a month. And if you are, then you're probably not making a ton of progress. You're probably not making a ton of progress on the projects you're working on, right? They were so difficult. Oof. Difficult clients, man. Well, I mean, that's the nice thing about client work, right? So I learned this in personal training. The first thing you do when you're getting started is you got to fill up your book, right? So you got to fill whatever it is, your 30, 40 hours a week. You got to fill it up. And then once you're filled, you raise the price, right? So existing clients, they get your old price. New clients, they get the more expensive price. As soon as you get a client who's willing to pay you for the more expensive price, you age out one of the more difficult clients that's already in your existing clientele basis. Like, that's 100%, that's the game to run. There's no reason to deal with somebody who's more maintenance and pays you less than somebody who's less maintenance and willing to pay you more. And I found that oftentimes clients who are on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of economic status tend to be a lot lower maintenance, in my experience as a personal trainer. I remember, wasn't ChatGPT scraping your website? I don't know if ChatGPT was scraping my website. It probably had tried to or did at some point, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it did. I'm sure some AI has scraped everyone's website at some point. Big J's faith. Recycle and reuse? For sure, we should recycle and reuse. Amba, hi, good evening. Sorry for late. Is this the issue with the close option done? We have, excuse me, we have implemented closing a file. We need to add a keybind for it, but we do have closing a file functionality. IQ Music, good morning. How are you? No need to call me sir. I only make my kids call me sir, and usually only when they're in trouble. So no need for you to call me sir. Yeah. I'm gonna make some coffee. Yeah. Let me go set that up real quick, and then we'll come back and work on my desktop application a bit. Split pane up, and we're gonna do BRB. I literally gave them a website worth $300 for 72, yet they said I could have done this with AI too. Oh, that is an asshole, man. Well, that just tells you. I think the learning experience you take away from that is maybe not much from a programmer perspective, but from a business owner perspective, the lesson you take away from that is sometimes you're going to have difficult clients, and sometimes you're going to have to navigate that. And you should prioritize finding clients who actually appreciate you and want to work with you, and not clients who are just going to demean you and put you down. And I know sometimes it's hard to tell which is which up front when you're interacting with a client, but hopefully as you do more projects, you'll be able to build some pattern recognition of like, this person's a Karen, right? But I'm sorry they treated you that way. That's really shitty. But congratulations on getting your first client, and now you can use that client work to hopefully sell more client work. Yes, we are doing some coffee. So let me go turn that camera on real quick. One sec. I have to fire it all up. Droid Cam. This is actually a pretty cool piece of software, this Droid Cam thing. It basically lets you stream your phone over your local network. All right, to the coffee station in 3, 2, 1, initiating sequence now. All right, we're gonna mute this guy. And now we're talking over here. There you go. I'm gonna lower that one just a little bit. There we go, we're not popping. It's magic. It is magic. What am I doing? I got to heat up the water. Where do I live? I live in Kansas City, Kansas. If you're familiar with geography in the United States, I'm in Kansas City, Kansas. Do I need permission from the client to put their website in my Fiverr? I mean, it was just a simple dashboard. I would probably ask for their permission. That's something I would just probably do going forward up front when you work with a client. You could even have some sort of like price differential if they're willing to let you use their work in your promotional materials, but I would definitely try to get permission. I know when I did personal training with clients, I would always ask for permission to share their testimonials. Like on my Facebook page or my website or wherever, I would just have like a standard boilerplate consent form that would include permission to use their testimonial, which I guess would be the proxy to that in freelance work would be the website or whatever you produce. I mean, I think you can always talk about people in an abstract way. Like you can always talk in generics. Like as long as you're not being specific and disclosing who the client was, it's probably fine. But if you're going to be specific, then you're going to use the exact thing that you built for them, you should probably ask for permission. If it was me, I would. Done resting for a bit. Now we are making coffee. Yeah, we are making coffee, Mark. I'm glad your head's feeling better, man. Sorry about your headache. Headaches are the worst. Oftentimes I get headaches when I haven't been drinking enough water. I don't know if that's your situation, but that's often my situation. Forgot my coffee cup.
Drink some water, feel a bit better. Nice. Yeah, that's always a go-to move for me. Water. It's always good. Yeah, see, there you go. Ryan has the right idea. I just would hedge on the side of, like, I don't want anyone to, I don't even want to give somebody a reason to sue me, so I would probably always ask for consent. I think most clients would say yes. Most clients would be excited to be, to lend you their voice, I think, especially if you have a good working relationship with them. I'm gonna be honest, pretty scared to text them first, since every time I do, they ask me to add this, fix that. Well, if you don't want to go back to them, what you could do is you could just don't name them, don't name their company, and then maybe you can take their project and like reskin it, and then just write it up in a very generic way so that nobody could identify who your client was or what their website is, right? And you could just describe in a general way, like, I worked with this company to build a dashboard to display and visualize data or something like that, right? And you could give a for instance of it. That's probably how I would approach that if you don't want to ask them. Although I think that would be a good muscle for you to exercise as a business owner. Sometimes you might have to follow up with difficult people. Maybe you need that practice to get more comfortable with it. Confrontation is hard. I will say, like, I think Ryan works in a corporate setting too, based on everything he's talked about. Confrontation and talking to people who are difficult and can be kind of problematic in the way they communicate. Yeah, that's definitely a scary thing. It's a difficult thing to get used to, but if you're afraid of confrontation, or you're afraid of having hard conversations, it really is something that you want to work through, because that's largely going to hold you back in your career. In my experience, like, a lot of good things that have happened to me in both my personal and professional life have been on the other side of really hard, difficult conversations. Sean Dev asked to be paid. Yeah. Yeah. Especially if I mean, I think you got to be able to set boundaries. But I had doubts, like, can we discuss any licensed software on a social platform? Do we need permission to discuss about those licensed products? I just think I think a good rule of thumb is, if you're going to name a client or a customer by name, by company or something, you need to get their permission. That would be my rule of thumb. Ryan, I worked with a company in the blank industry to build such and such a product. Yeah, exactly. Yes, just make it very anonymized. Yeah. If you don't want to go back and get permission, I agree with that. I mean, like, when a client wouldn't want to give me a testimonial, or I failed to ask for a client testimonial, I would just not do like a blurb, but I would still include them in, like, I've worked with this many clients to lose this much weight or to gain this much strength. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would still include their story in a way in my marketing materials or in my sales materials. I just wouldn't name them. But I just think it's so exciting, man. Way to go. Way to start a business, start earning some side income. I've never done any freelance work in the dev space. So you're light years ahead of where I am, man. I think that's awesome. I would love to do some freelance work. I just have not put any time, effort, or energy into it, and I probably should. Because it sounds like you can make pretty decent money doing it. Should I screenshot the website, hide the URL, put it with the text on Fiverr? I wouldn't though. I probably wouldn't screenshot the website, because you could probably use the website to figure out who your client is. So I think the website probably needs to be like skinned. So, like, what I mean by that is, like, dummy the website up as if it was for, like, acne corporation, right? Like come up with like a dummy company and redo the, like just git checkout new branch and then replace any references or any branding related to your client with some dummy corporation. That's probably what I would do. And then use that as your screenshot or your demo. This is weird. I'm reading YouTube chat from my Twitch stream. It's crazy how much better Twitch's streamer tools are than YouTube's. It's orders of magnitude better. I understand why so many people like Twitch over, or why so many streamers like Twitch over YouTube. I see why. Freelancing is hard. It sucks unless you are in the top batch. Well, I guess the only way to get in the top batch is you got to start, though, right? Like, I would imagine anything at the beginning sucks. But then it would not be legitimate, right? Also, aren't deployed projects always better than GitHub ones? Yes, for sure. Deployed projects, I think, are better. But my point is, I would be suspicious, or I wouldn't take the risk of using anything in my marketing materials that identifies who the client is, or could be used to identify who the client is without their permission. And that's why I say you should create a new or like git check out a separate branch, change all the references, all the branding that's related to your client, and then deploy that or push that somewhere. That, and again, you don't have to take my advice, because what do I know? You've done more freelancing in your career than I have, but I'm pretty risk adverse. I just wouldn't want to invite, especially if you've already had kind of a bad interaction with this client, I wouldn't want to give them any more ammunition to be more difficult. All right, coffee's made. We can now return to the office. Hey, I don't know if you guys heard me, but I said to the office. That means you got come this way. All right. We got to mute this again.
Initiating return to the office sequence in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. And we're chatting. It's interesting. Whenever I switch to Droid Cam, it screws up my audio levels. Testing 1, 2. There we go. Huh. It's weird. Ooh, $200. Someone made $200 from freelancing. Nice. That's awesome. Always wasted. House tour? Yeah. I don't think my wife would go for a house tour. And there's also nothing super exciting about the house. I love that gag. I'm glad you guys enjoy that gag. Let's see. As a former business owner, Steven is giving really good advice. There you go. Yeah. So that, I mean, that's how I approach my personal training business. And I'm not saying it's the right way. It's just the way I did it. Ryan, so definitely have a base price for your contracts, have written consent form as part of that contract, and then add 10 to 15% to the price if they don't sign the written consent form. Oh, that's kind of yeah, I think so I didn't have different price tiers, but I used to always, when I worked with clients, I used to always either do full freight, meaning you pay the full price up front, or I do it on spec. And if I do it on spec, that means I do it for free, like I train you for free. But as part of the agreement to train you for free, I get to use all of anything that comes out of that. I get to use it as part of my marketing and sales material. You know, it can film sessions or take video or photos, or, you know, ask you to provide a testimonial. But I like the idea of having different prices too, right? That's a good idea as well. Ryan, then you wouldn't know how annoying clients get when they explicitly compare you to AI. I'm sure it's very annoying, Abdul, and I'm sorry they do that. That is really, really shitty, man. I'm hoping future clients aren't like that. All right, we're gonna try to work on the desktop app a little bit. So let's shut down Rustlings. And let's switch into the desktop repo. Fire this guy up. All right, so when we were last here, we had added the ability to close files, but we had not wired up a keybind to it. Good morning, dumb threes. I don't think I've ever seen your username in my chat before, but morning. I think it's locking because the analyzer is... Come on, Rust Analyzer. There we go. Man, it's kind of slow. All right, now we do cargo run. Abdul, no offense, but not all Indian clients, but always Indian clients cutting corners while already underpaying. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you're able to. I mean, I would hope, Abdul, this doesn't scare you off from building a business like this. I hope, assuming you do enjoy the work, I hope it just helps you build pattern recognition around the people you want to work with and want to avoid working with in the future. I always got pretty good during initial consultations being able to kind of figure out if somebody was going to be a good fit or not. Oh, we need to figure out, this is the index problem. Yeah. Oh, now I remember where we were. Now I remember exactly where we were. So before we add the key, I think YouTube just disconnected. I got to restart StreamerBot. Steven, do you think studying Rust today can pay off us with a better job in the future? I'd love to work in a critical software company with a good wage. I honestly don't know, Rockin' Brain. If I had to guess, Rust is probably not the right language to learn to optimize for employability. I think if it was me and I was trying to get a job, I would probably get really good at Java, Python, or JavaScript. I think those probably make me the most employable. Kansas City is a pretty big .NET town too, so .NET's a pretty good bet here in Kansas City. And maybe you also want to take a look around at, like, geographically what tech stack is popular with the companies that employ you quite a bit, or employ quite a bit of people. That's probably what I would do if my focus was really on, like, getting hired, that's probably what I would do myself. I would kind of look at all the big companies in the area and look at their job descriptions and figure out, okay, what are their tech stacks, what are their languages, and then I would try to optimize for those things. Or maybe there's companies you specifically want to work for. Like I always use Shopify as a good example. If you wanted to go work at Shopify, you need to know Ruby on Rails, right? Or if you want to go work at 37 Signals, you need to know Ruby on Rails. So maybe there's specific companies you want to work for, and you optimize to learn their particular tech stack. For me, Rust is more about just the fun of it. I don't know how many jobs out there actually are looking for Rust devs, though. I haven't looked. Fortran, C flavors, and assembly. For like lower level employment. Phil, Python and JavaScript AI ready. Yeah, I would think if you want to do stuff in the AI world, you definitely want to be heavy in Python, huh? Fortran still exists? I think so. I think Fortran still exists. COBOL and Fortran, I think both of those are used pretty heavily still in legacy industries. There's so much legacy software out there, you know? These things have such a long tail. I think that's the thing about AI that nobody is giving credit, is just how much of a long tail all these legacy technologies have. Let's see, for banking and insurance companies need COBOL still. There you go. You're a COBOL dev. Nice. Very cool. Yeah. I've heard COBOL is used quite a bit in banking. Didn't know about insurance as much, but I'd heard banking before. Our entire banking system is written in COBOL and Fortran. Isn't that wild? That's so wild, man. You know, I guess it just goes to show that like if something works, it works, right? There's not much value in ripping and replacing. You know, it's probably more risk in it than value. All right, where are we? We're down here in the close action. Yep. So right here, this is where we're having our issues. So we have bugs. And so what happens in Notepad? If I'm here and I have a single, what do I want to call it? If I have a single tab and I close this, what happens? Closes, it shuts the application. So we want a similar experience, and I'm not sure how to accomplish that. So if, oh, no, Copilot, shut up. If state.files.length is equal to 0, whoops, not double, it's equal to 0. Oh my goodness. Then we basically want to just close the application. And I don't know how to do that. So how do we do that in iced? Iced.rs, close application. To close the current application window, you return window close command within your update logic. Okay. So we would say window close. I don't think this is the right, I don't think that's the right window. Iced window. No, I think it is window. But it wants an ID. Okay, I think AI is wrong here. If you're using the application trait, this will generally exit the whole process by default. This terminates the whole application process. That's what I want. I think I want this. Iced exit. All you need to do is return the following and update. Closes the current window and exit the application. Update doesn't have a return type. Make sure you use application in iced application Rust instead of sandbox. I'm not using any of that. I'm just using functions. See, I think iced has actually gone through some pretty major rewrites. Actually, let's see. Creates a task that exits that. This will normally close any application windows and terminate the runtime loop. So maybe iced exit. Is that valid? Found task. Okay, I don't know how to do this, guys. Let's see, how do we ice.rs quit application programmatically? These are all old, like 2023. I think these are all outdated. Return a man to quit the application. Trigger the quit message. From a button, exit quick. Programmatically send message quick to your application's message queue. Potentially. Okay, I don't think Gemini is any help on this, so we're gonna try to use Copilot to look at the source code and figure out if it knows how to do it. Yo, boy, how you close an iced application? Make sure you ground your response with the source code in the iced repository. In other words, don't just make shit up. I've been feeding cats and making coffee. What do you mean by quit programmatically? So basically, I want when this close action causes the state to have an empty list of files, I want to trigger the application to just shut down. And I'm not sure how to do that. That's what I'm trying to get at. Programmatically using iced exit. Return iced exit. Closing a specific window. If you need to intercept this, e.g. to show a "Are you sure" dialog, you can set this to false when building your application. So this means I need to update my signature of my update function, I guess? Because that's what I tried to do. I tried to do iced exit. but then it complains about the type. And now we really made people unhappy. I cannot find type task. And now everyone's mad because not all things return a task. So could I just do this? Could I just say like that? Type annotations needed. Cannot infer type of type parameter t declared on function exit. Yeah, I don't know how you do this. Do a process exit with standard process exit. Yeah, boy, LO. I usually start my LLM chats with "Sup, homie." Yeah, how's it hanging, bro? Boy, what's good? Yeah, it's funny to talk to LLMs like they're people. I don't know how to do this. So you're saying just use process exit? I feel like though that's not proper. There's got to be a proper way to do this, right? I mean, so this is in an example file here. Example exit. Window latest and then window close. Maybe I want this. I know I'm just kind of throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks, but the value is provided to the closure. This is the same problem. Okay, so is there something wrong with how I've declared my application? It seems like in order to make this work, I have to change my update function signature. So it does seem like the proper way to do this is to do iced exit, right? And then I have to change this signature to be task message. That then needs to now be, I need to now do that. So can this expected task message found method perform modifies its receiver in place, call into on this expression to convert into ice task message. I kind of feel like that's going to break something though. So how would I declare like message into? Let's see. I'm going to have Copilot help me out of this one, I think. Just add an empty task at the bottom and return explicitly where necessary. An empty how do I create an empty task? Task new or task from task done creates a new task that instantly produces I don't know how to do this. These messages should appear as lines of code on the stream. Which messages? I think your messages are showing up. They should show up. It's none. Task none. How'd you figure that out? Oh, okay. Nice. Do I have to just clear that everywhere, or can I just declare that like at the very bottom of the file? Like this. I guess matches don't fall through though, huh? Dude, that's annoying. I have to add a task none to every single branch. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little annoying. Oh no, hold on. I think that's what you were telling me to do, is put it here, right? Yes, that's exactly what you were telling me. Was to put the task and none at the bottom and then just explicitly return where necessary. So like here, I would explicitly return. And then what is this? I don't know how you figured that out, and I'm not sure if this is the right way, but thank you very much for figuring that out, man. All right, let's see if that works now. Appreciate you. This is why it's always nice to stream with people who know what the fuck they're doing. Getting comfortable reading the docs help. So is that in the docs? Sorry, is that in the docs? Let's see, task ice.rs. Is it in here somewhere? I don't think it's in here. It must be in the actual documentation site. Latest release. Scaling applications, concurrent tasks. Oh, yep. It's right here. Task none. The update function can optionally return a task. A task can be leveraged to perform asynchronous work like running a feature or a stream. Tasks can also be used to interact with the ICE runtime. Some modules expose functions that create tasks for different purposes, like changing window settings, focusing a widget, or querying its visible bounds. Like features and streams, tasks expose a monadic interface, but they can also be mapped, changed, batched, and canceled. Very cool. Well, thank you very much, man, for pointing me in the right direction. I really appreciate that. Super, super kind of you. Learned something new today. All right, so the whole point of that was so that if we have one tab and someone closes that tab, the application should just exit. Now, should it exit, though, unsuccessfully? The length is 0, but the index is 0. I think it's still panicking. I actually don't think that fixed the issue, did it? Yeah, it's still panicking. 205.36. 205. So it's like this is still running. So maybe what we actually want to do is in our close logic, maybe what we actually want to do is we want to say if state.file's length equals 1, we just close. Maybe we do that. ByteCubes, can you make a game? I actually don't know how to do any game programming. I know how to do some basic game programming with like an HTML canvas, but I don't know how to do any Unity or like proper game dev. There we go. That's what we wanted. Okay. And then if we actually run, we have multiple tabs, and we close this guy, we get an error. The length is 4, but the index is 4. So this is where we have to do the proper updating. You should try Bevy. It looks like it's a good game engine written in Rust. Interesting. Yeah, that'd be cool. Duckboy, I think one of us is a secret Rustling maintainer, but I can't prove it. See you, Ryan. Just pulled into work. Have a good day, man. Sorry, I bet you're already gone, but thanks very much for stopping in. Bro, your chat is the best Copilot. They are really good. They're very smart. Next project, make a game with Rust and Bevy. We gotta spend some time working on the actual projects I want to get done this year. Steven, good day. What's the match message about? Oh, this is so this is just kind of a way, I guess, ICE, this library that I'm using, models the application. So they have basically you have like a view function and you have an update function. The view function handles all state changes, and then the view function just takes the current state and renders your view that you see. And so the way you communicate between actions happening in the view And how you want those actions to be translated into state changes is you dispatch messages from the view, and those get handled in the update function. So that's why we're matching on message. So our update function gets a message, and then that message is an enum, and so it can have different members, and then we match against those members to figure out, okay, if it's a edit action or an edit message, we do this. If it's a file action message, we do another thing. And so it's just a way to kind of try to help keep your view logic and your state logic like separated. Yeah, I guess it's based on an architecture. It's not something they invented. They took it from a language called Elm. They call it the Elm architecture. This is my first introduction to it, but it's a nice, it's a clean way to organize the code, I think. I could definitely refactor this, though. I kind of have like these, I basically have 3 monolithic functions right now that facilitate everything in my app. So I need to probably at some point refactor these out. But I'm trying to fix a bug right now with closing tabs. So what needs to happen when we remove a file from our list of files? When we remove a file from our list of files, we still have an index. And so I guess what we need to do is we need to figure out what the current file is, the current file index that we have is. So we have state.current file. And if, actually this check can be a little simpler. So if the state.current file is equal to the IDX that we're going to close, then we want to do something with the current file. Whoops. Right? So we're going to remove the state. And if the thing we removed is equal to the current file, what does Notepad do? I'm modeling all this behavior out of the basic Windows Notepad. So if we're on this file and we close it, the focus moves to the tab to the right. So really that shouldn't matter though, right? Because it should, in that case, the index is just the same. It's the same index. So I don't think I understand why this bug is happening. Or I guess I wouldn't expect this bug to happen based on my current understanding. So if we run our application, and if I set up the same scenario in my application, so let's say I have three tabs, right? And so let's say my current tab is this guy, and I close it, I would expect, so let's say this is tab 1, this is tab 2, and this is tab 3. So if I close this one, I would expect this tab to come into focus. Okay, so that does work. And I think I would expect the same thing here. If I close this tab, then this tab should come into focus. No, it won't. So if I close this tab, the current index is 1. But now the length goes to 0, so there's only a 0 index. Okay, so let's handle that case. So if state.files.length, so this is after the removal. So after we do the removal, if state.files.length minus 1 oh no, we need to do this before the removal. Sorry. I promise I'm not completely dumb. So if state.length.minus1 is equal to the index we're going to close, then what we want to do is we want to set the current state.current file. We want to set that equal to state.files.length minus 2. Right? So basically what we're trying to say is if this index is the last index, then when we close it, we want to shift that focus to the next one. I don't know if the removal needs to happen before. I think it needs to happen after. Because we need to base our logic on the state before we close the tab, but then we need to still remove the tab. Hey, what's up, Ulas? Thanks for being a member, man. Appreciate you. Yes, unless you close the rightmost file, of course. Yes, you are 100% right. So let's add. We could also do this with unit testing. We should probably do this all with unit testing. I probably don't need to manual test this. So if I do this, yeah, that's what I want. And if I do, okay, so this is the other case that is causing an error. So if I have the final file focused, which means the current file is index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I close this guy, it's gonna crash, I think, because the current file index is still 6, but the last file index is 5 now. Yeah. Which means, what does that mean? So we basically need to special case this, right? So basically this is a special case where we do that. Otherwise we're always going to do this. We're just going to shift the focus down 1. So whatever the current file is, minus 1. Flip binary expression. Oh, replace it with this. That's fine. Yeah, I think this covers the cases. I really need to sit down and write some tests for this. I've been avoiding doing that on stream because I just feel like people find it so boring to watch people write unit tests, but I really do need to. So we'll go over here and then we'll close that guy. Yeah, we'll close. Let's just say hello world. So this should always remain in focus. And then if I get down to here, and then if I do here, it closes. I think that's let me try one more. So let's say I'm in the middle here, and I'm going to do hello world 1, hello world 2. So if I close this file, yeah, Hello World 2 comes into focus. Is that what happens over here? Hello World 2. Hello World 1. So it actually looks like in Notepad it shifts the focus to the right. But I don't think I care too much where the focus goes. I mean, you close it as long as it's consistent behavior. Oh, there's another edge case. Attempted to just subtract with overflow. So cargo run. So we have a new file, and then I'm here. So I'm focusing on 1, and I try to close this guy. Okay, so what's happening there? So current focus is 1. And so we are trying to close. Hey, what's up, Wager Kings? I am not Dutch. I think I do have my ancestry. Oh shit, it's 7 o'clock. Crap. I wasn't paying attention to the time. I was kind of locked in on the testing here. I'm not Dutch. Most of my ancestry is, I think, English. I'm looking at my 23andMe right now. I think most of my ancestry is English. I mean, if you're asking where I live in the United States. I live in Kansas City, Kansas. But yeah, I'm 85% European. 70% of that is British Irish. 10% of it's Spanish and Portuguese. And then 11% of it's Indigenous American, which is actually, I think, from my grandma's side from Honduras. Yeah. $1 in the swear jar. I swear so much, man. Swearing is like a way of life. Freeborn translated to Dutch is an actual name as well. Oh, wow. I had no idea. USA, remind me not to cook without too much oil before you invade me. Dude, I'm so sorry. I really have to, for those of you who are not in the United States, I have to apologize for the way my government is currently acting. I did not vote for the current administration. I have no issue with someone who did vote for the current administration. I'm perfectly fine with being friends who have different political opinions of me. But I just don't agree that we should be. I don't agree that we should be conducting our foreign policy the way we're currently conducting it, especially when you start talking about how we're interacting with some of our allies. I'm not trying to get political here, but since you brought it up, I just want to apologize. I hope you all don't think of me as one of them ugly Americans. Love Bevy? Yeah. I'll have to take a look at Bevy. Everyone's brought that up, has said it's good. So I guess if I ever want to build a game in Rust, I should look at Bevy. All right, chat. Well, I was hoping to get more progress on that Notepad app. I apologize. I kind of got distracted with the testing. But unfortunately, it's Monday, which means this guy has to work. So my YouTube career has to go on hold until tomorrow morning at 4:15. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, though. Hey, what's up, Max? Thanks for being a sub over there on Twitch, man. I appreciate you. Bob Knoll, even people on Reddit conservative disagree with the Greenland stuff. Yeah, that's the probably. I mean, yes, the Venezuela thing is kind of crazy and out of pocket. But yeah, definitely the fact that we're sort of trying to create conflict with other NATO countries. I mean, I know Greenland's not. I understand the relationship between Greenland, but Greenland basically belongs to the Danes, and the Danes are members of NATO. And now you have all these other NATO countries who are, I guess, moving military resources towards Greenland at the request of Denmark. And so now it's almost like the rest of NATO feels like it needs to defend itself from the US, which is just so fucked up. Wager Kings, would you go full on streaming if the opportunity would arise? And if so, what would an opportunity look like? I don't. Wager Kings. That seems super precarious to me to be a full time streamer, especially with 2 little kids. You know. I mean, that would be super cool if I could just sit here and write code and stream and hang out with you all day. That sounds like a way better way to spend my days. But to get my content creation to a point where it could replace my full-time salary plus my benefits, we are a long way. We are orders of magnitude away from that point. So what an opportunity like that would look like it would have to be like take my current AdSense earnings and multiply it by like a factor of 100 or more than that, I guess. Yeah, more than that. So it's not a reality at this point. So yeah, for now I'm just fine with doing it for fun and having a good time talking with you guys and building stuff and having fun with it. World War III, here we come. I hope not, man. I really hope not. I hope people come to their senses. I hope there's some adults in the room. I really, really do. I'm just holding out hope. Duckboy, given I watch a lot of political content, it makes a bit of sense, but I understand how everyone feels the current situation. Oh yeah, I mean, I can intellectually rationalize, right? But it's your member countries. Did someone just? Oh yeah, Max G got a call out on Twitch for coming to more streams, multiple streams. That's awesome. I didn't even know that would show up on there. Thank you, Max. Appreciate you. Got to go to the gym. See you guys. Nice. Rockin' Brain. You're my kind of dude. Have a good workout, man. I'm going to hit the gym at some point today. All right, chat. Well, I appreciate you guys spending your morning with me. I hope you guys know that. I really do appreciate it. Big J's Faith, I don't think he's here anymore, but thank you so much for all those gifted members you've given the last couple of days. It's really, really kind of you. And with that, I think I'll do my normal wrap up. So chat, if you're new, I know everybody that's been in chat has been people that have hung out here before, but if you're new here and you're lurking, the best place to find us outside of stream is in our Discord. And so I'll just spam that link into the chat there. It's discord.stephenfreeborn.com. Pretty easy to remember, but you're more than welcome to join up. And then if you want to come back and hang out in future streams, my schedule is on Twitch. So you can find my schedule there, but I'll put my schedule in the chat as well. I'm usually live from 4:15 a.m. to about 7 a.m. Definitely on the weekdays. On the weekends, which for me is Saturday and Sunday, I typically will go a little later, or if I have a day off or like a holiday or something. But for the most part, I'm live for about 3 hours each morning, and we try to be really consistent with that. So if you're around and you just want to get your cup of coffee or get your caffeinated beverage of choice and come hang out and just listen to some lo-fi music and listen to me struggle through programming, you're always welcome. Back to Docgram. Good day, everyone. See you, Duck Boy. Thanks for hanging out, man. All right, chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Boss. See you, man. See you, Rockin' Brain. Have a good workout. Bye, Duck Boy. Bye, Oblivious. Yes, you too, Oblivious. I hope your week gets started on a great note. I hope everyone's Monday goes well and it ends well. Bye, Max G. Bye, Wager Kings. ES Fonil. Thank you for all your help with the Rust thing. I don't know if I would have figured that out without a lot more Googling. So thank you very much for the task none call out. Ulas, if you're still here, thank you for being a member. Ulas, appreciate you. All right, guys. I'll see you. Bye, chat. Bye. Or over here. Bye. See you guys.